How to have sex, a question all of us film bros have been asking ourselves for a while now. After watching this film, I still don't have the answer. This is a film about three young British girls who go on a summer holiday to Malia, the main character Tara going there with the aim of losing her virginity finally. Literally the worst fucking place in the world you could have chosen to do that. And for those of you who don't know, Malia is essentially this party town in Crete where a lot of adolescents go to essentially have sex and drink a lot. Think Ibiza, these holiday locations that are very popular with British tourists. You go there and it's just full of English yobs. It's all just one giant frat party essentially, and this film is acting as a partial expose of that party scene. It's a very good data sample to take from when we're talking about male depravity. You go there to party, drink, take drugs and have sex, and there isn't anything inherently wrong with that. It is all just a little bit of fun that you have when you're a young adult, but the kind of behaviour that mentality encourages, chiefly in young men, is abhorrent. Degenerate, lustful, predatory behaviour, not a very safe place for women. It's the shit Travis Bickle might see when he's doing his night shift. This could probably be said for all of club life in general.
Magaluf boat parties go wild. Crack the UAV, Mad 8.5's on the radar. Yes, there's more juggernauts, but that's what the wingman's for, to comfort them.
I'm not trying to say, hey, we shouldn't be doing this, we shouldn't be going out to clubs and having fun. I ain't saying it's wrong to have sex, even though I've never done it myself. But these sheerly carnal behaviours that occur as a byproduct almost make the whole thing feel disgusting outright. And How to Have Sex is all about showcasing that sleazy culture, and in this particular case from the female perspective. And it does this quite masterfully. Now in this review, I'm probably going to use the word authentic quite a lot, and that's a word I use quite frequently in all of my videos. I'm always like, oh my god, this film is so authentic and genuine, man. Now I understand that this may have started to become a bit repetitive and tedious, but having said all that, one of my favourite things that storytelling can do is depict a certain aspect of life authentically. When I truly feel like a fly on the wall during a scene because it feels so real, that gets me really excited. That gets my film enthusiast juices flowing. Filmmaking or script writing that is so good it can recreate reality one-to-one. And for as much as I've gone on about this in all of my videos, this film, How to Have Sex, is an instance where I can fully 100% attest to the media's authenticity, because I've lived this. I've been to Malia. There are shots in this film that show locations where I have walked. I know what it's like, I know that scene, I know the experience and the atmosphere, and this film captures said atmosphere perfectly. Of course, the only thing I'm missing is that I'm not a female, but the overall vibe it nails. The film's opening titles play over the sounds of a plane cabinet landing in Malia. You don't see anything, you just hear all of the sounds, and one of those sounds in particular is the chanting of a good amount of masculine, gaudy lads. And all these lads are chanting, Malia, Malia. I gotta be kind of quiet because there's people sleeping right now because it's like 2 AM, but you're like, Malia, Malia. Think football chant kind of shit. That's literally the first thing that happens in this entire movie, and instantly I was like, I'm on board with this, because that literally happened on my plane. As soon as the plane wheels landed on the runway, all of these lads behind me were like, yes, we have landed in Malia, good spot. And then I went up to them and said, oh, why don't you shut your mouth before I kick your teeth in and shut it for you? Because I'm Drive, you know, I'm Ryan Gosling from Drive. Did you know that? I've always been fascinated by male adolescent hooliganism, this fucking animalistic side that comes out every now and then. It's fucking scary, man. It's this primitive side of masculinity that I was trying to showcase in my Apers video. For those of you who don't know, it's just some schizo video I made. So due to this real life holiday experience that I had to draw from, I did find this film really engaging. I was like, finally, this hellhole is going to be exposed for what it is. There were so many little authentic details, like the clubs they went to, the kind of food they ate, the look of the hostels they lived in. I found the three main characters to be utterly believable as well, which is a big plus. Just great performances all round. It's a good film if you want to see some high quality naturalistic acting. The main character Tara is a character that I feel like I've met. It's just in the way they paint her. How she's partially a bit childish, British, always making cheesy jokes. It's just an authentic little detail. That strange giddiness you get in young British adolescent girls. Thematically, it is important that we see her a little bit as a child as well, so it works there. And due to how down to earth all of this made her feel, it was not hard at all for me to relate to her and get into her shoes. And once you've successfully started to relate to the main character, it's pretty much a go, isn't it? You're in for a pretty good film. I successfully assimilated with her. And then there's that jealous friend of hers. She's awful. I mean, the acting was great. It's the character though. A sly and manipulative mate that's jealous of the main character. And the way that jealousy makes itself known, how it comes across subtly or no, was well done. The subtle behaviours of those kinds of people, it emulated perfectly. That's unfortunately another type of person you get in these British friend groups. Always with these subtle put downs and trying to show their friends up in front of boys. A sneaky little saboteur. It's insidiously accurate to that kind of person.
No one cares if you're a virgin, it's very chill, so why are you bringing it up then?
For as much as this is completely de-romanticising these lads' holiday environments, it isn't using any horror motifs as a means of exaggeration. It's not made in the vein of a psychological thriller where reality is partially heightened and more creepy seeming than real life. Films like Raw or Under the Skin come to mind, which are about very human themes but use more dramatic forms of storytelling to get their points across. Eyes Wide Shut is another good example. That's this theatrical tale of man's lust, among other things. How to Have Sex, however, doesn't do this. It instead opts to be nothing other than a one-to-one depiction of reality. It's utterly straightforward and ordinary, and I mean that in a good way. It's shot like a documentary. No exaggeration. Again, you could just be watching real people. It's more in the vein of This Is England, and that's really high praise coming from me. I think there's like one shot in this film that you could maybe call stylistic or cinematic, and it's this lovely bird's eye view of the hotel that they're staying in. The reason I mention all this is because I easily would have welcomed some heightened reality. These surreal movies that present the fouler aspects of the male psyche through these disturbing and unnerving lenses, whether it be something like Midsommar, The Lighthouse, anything by David Lynch or Lars von Trier, these can end up being some of my favourite kinds of films, especially when it comes to the cesspit that is Malia. I'd be fully down for a hellish rendition of the place. British lad culture is definitely in need of it. It is okay to liken these sinister characteristics to evil demonic entities or people. It's an apt allegory. I know it sounds that this could veer into man-bad territory, but trust me, if done correctly, you could have a masterpiece on your hands. Gaspar Noé comes to mind as well. He's made films that cover similar subject matter to this, yet this is nothing like the films that he's made. I'm not faulting this movie, by the way. I still love the direction it went in. Not everything has to be this allegorical psychological horror.
Hey, we're gonna play a game.
There's one particular scene in this film where they're at a pool party and they get two lads up on stage to have this boner competition. Essentially, whoever gets a hard-on first wins, and what happens is they get a bunch of girls from the crowd to come up and try and titillate them so they get hard. They're touching them and licking them, and this is all in public, this is all on a stage, loads of people are watching. It's messed up and weird, but the thing is, you didn't actually need any exaggerated storytelling to show how depraved things could get over there. Because having been there, that is a fairly feasible thing that could occur in these environments. The film just turned the camera on and showed us what was there. There's no like sinister music to let us know, oh, this is really fucked up what you're seeing. You're just like, yeah, we know exactly what this is. There's no, oh yes indeed, this is very bad. It's just, look at this fucking atrocity. How to Have Sex is much closer in style to Aftersun, if you could call it a style, and that's a very big positive from me because I loved Aftersun. A minor complaint I have with the film, buzzkill time. So the girls in this film are supposed to be like 17, 18, just out of 6th form. Now the actresses definitely look a lot older than that, like around their mid-20s. So I kept having to remind myself how young these people were supposed to be, particularly when they were saying stuff like, OMG, I'm still a virgin, I hope I lose my virginity tonight. Just a bunch of women in the late 20s being like, oh, I really hope I can lose my virginity tonight, oh, by golly. I can totally buy lads having to do that, because we're way more pathetic. But due to their age, the characters in this film aren't as sensible yet, they make a lot of stupid decisions. There are some moments where you're like, best not do that, love, oof, that's a really bad idea. This film is a cautionary tale about approaching sex so haphazardly, as well as a showcase of how vulnerable women are on these types of holidays. How not to have sex, it should be called, and I'm not even being witty there, the title is definitely being darkly ironic. The types of men that you'll find in these places put little to no value on sex, whereas the main character in this film is at least trying to make it a little bit special. It's not romanticising losing your virginity at all, at least in these environments. This is one of the least desirable ways you would want something like this to go. The scene where the main character does lose her virginity is the furthest thing from romantic. It even quite purposefully takes place on a beach, which is a setting you'd usually imagine to be idyllic, but not the case here. She's mainly just coerced by societal pressures as well as a low self-esteem, which are unfortunately not uncommon reasons for someone to feel the need to have sex. Eventually this sadly leads to a sexual assault that takes place near the end of the film, and that scene in question was done completely tastefully. The way it was handled, the way it was presented, sadly did feel like a very believable and feasible thing to occur in that situation. It wasn't sensational or exploitative, nothing over the top. Again, it was that documentary style, no music. It just happened, almost like it was nothing, but you, the audience, know the severity of what just went down. It is not shying away from how miserable these holidays can be for girls, especially if it goes in one particular direction. The worst possible way to lose your virginity, the worst possible setting, the worst possible context, and this film does a hauntingly good job at demonstrating all of that. There is no better example of a place than Malia, where sex is reduced to this empty and gratuitous transaction. The worst kinds of men dwindle there, and the fact that you go there to lose your virginity in the most unceremonious and crude way possible. I know people say that where you lose your virginity isn't a big deal, and I get that, but just Jesus Christ, not there. Not like this! You could perhaps view this film as a good example of what Barbie was symbolically trying to be, a thoughtful movie about the female experience directed by a woman. If there was that amount of hype over this film, I'd fully get it, I'd fully be on board with that. Congrats to Molly Manning Walker, I think this is the first film I've seen of hers. I look forward to see what she does next.
And like lots of reality, like we embedded in Malia for like 2 weeks during prep. And just like, I would like sit on the side and just watch drunk people like be drunk. Maybe one day I'll tell you all about my own experience over there in Malia. It's quite an interesting, weird ass story. It'll be quite a funny video. We'll see. Maybe, who knows. Besides that, that's all from me. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and goodbye. And remember to fucking subscribe.